Hi, I'm Yamma Brown, and this is Prisoner of Love, a series devoted to survivors of abuse. My guests will share their heroic stories of abuse. This series will take you on a journey of hope and encouragement for victims to break the cycle. For those of you who are just joining us, welcome to this series of Prisoner of Love. In this edition, we have my good friend Rhonda Thomson, who's a motivational speaker, published author, and a survivor of abuse. And she's going to share with us her story and how she came out of such a tumultuous time and what she's doing now to help others in this area of abuse and domestic violence, and just give us some words of encouragement. So first and foremost, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having
I love
me.
you. I love you. So I would like for you to share with our audience, really, what is your story? What brought you to this point? Just give them a little bit of history about you.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. You know, I don't have a traditional story. My story is like Galatians 5, the fruit of the Spirit. There's like all of these components of what my life, journey got me to this point. I will first start by saying that I'm a survivor of child abuse, child sexual assault, domestic violence, 3 suicide attempts, and I was a part of the human sex trafficking trade. I wasn't forced into it, but I had friends that were a part of it as it related to having a pimp or a trafficker, and I kind of went along for the ride. And but yeah, the abuse started very early. My mother was undiagnosed with mental illness, and that's something that we're starting to see more of now,
Right.
which I'm glad, because back then it was extremely embarrassing for me. And
because it's always hard to talk about, right? I mean,
Extremely
nobody
hard.
ever wants to talk about mental illness or mental abuse, and even what that means for us as African American people.
Right.
We definitely don't talk about it. But what I will say, it's interesting because you started it off with child abuse and mental abuse. So was it mostly mental, or was there any physical abuse as a child?
I start off with child abuses because that was the first door open.
Okay.
So my mother was my first abuser physically, psychologically. Mind you, she wasn't in her right mind. So from there, my second abuser was my father, who sexually abused me. And by this time, I have no idea, I have no foundation of what real love is supposed to look like. Your parents are supposed to, protect you. They're supposed to, provide for you and give you this roadmap of how to have healthy relationships. And both of them violated me. Both had different reasons. My father at the time was an alcoholic, and I forgive them both, but this is what started the door of me searching for love in all the wrong places.
Right.
Picking men that, only wanted my body, and of course that made me feel loved, so I was willing to oblige. I wasn't one where this is why I said my story is like a basket. It's not just one thing that, it's multiple
layers.
Yeah, it's definitely multifaceted. But the relationships, starting out young, dating guys that, I don't know, thought that, abusing a woman was how you show love. And I never stayed with guys. I just kept picking the same man in a different body.
Well, I can testify to that. I've been there as a survivor of domestic violence myself, so I can understand where you're coming from in that respect of, choosing that same person over and over again. So how did you get into, now you said into sex trafficking. So how did that, how did you bridge there?
So really all of this was, before I got into the sex trade, it was more of trying to mask pain. So by the age of 15, I'm not truly a teenage alcoholic, but I was on my way to that, trying to mask pain. And when alcohol and sex and men didn't work, I thought money would fix it.
Right.
And so easy, quick money that it looked good. The girls, the older girls in my community had the things they wanted, and no one was there to stop me. No one was there to say, this is not what you do.
Right.
And so I became a stripper. And from there, it was more than just dancing, and it turned into...
Really? I never knew that. All these years we've known each other, and I mean, I didn't know. I had no idea.
I don't really talk about it a lot. I am now starting to share it because I realize that hiding behind the mask, although I'm over it, it wasn't allowing me to be as true and authentic as I want to be with the women that I serve. So I'm, now sharing things that are extremely hurtful, extremely embarrassing, extremely hard, not for myself, because there's no glory in that. It's still, okay, if I share this, what are they going to think of me? What is this man going to think of me when he reads the book, when he watches my videos, when he learns that this is, something, this is not that squeaky clean Christian that she looks like today.
Right.
But with the help of God and courage, I just do it because it's not for me. My story is no different from many American women today. We are just too ashamed to say what we have done, what we have been through, out of fear that we'll be rejected by our community.
Yeah. I mean, your story is is so compelling. Like I said, I had no idea about that side of it, but it just, it speaks to so many different women and going through this. And I'm sure a lot of people maybe out there going through the same thing right now and just trying to figure out ways to get through. And is this love? And, and just receiving it all. But when we come back, we're going to talk to Rhonda a little bit more about that and how she came out of it and her journey to get there past that point.
Hello, I am Rhonda Thomson, and I am the voice for the voiceless. Today I am sharing my story. Yes, I'm made up. I have makeup on and all the bells and whistles, but I am bleeding my heart to you, telling and exposing the truths that I have gone through, have conquered, and have overcome. Starting back with my story, I am a survivor of child abuse, sexual abuse, as well as intimate partner violence. Domestic violence is what we call it today. All of this is domestic violence. As a little girl, I didn't really know who I was. I wasn't told that I was pretty. I wasn't told that I was important. And while all of this was going on, it affected how I valued myself. After experiencing the child abuse and then the sexual abuse as a child, all concurrent, then I began to start dating men. I went from relationship after relationship, and each relationship involved abuse for some reason, as if there was a sign on my head that said, hey, I want to abuse her. But what happened was, spiritually, the door had been open to this low self-esteem and this low self-worth, that as I got involved in intimate partner relationships, not knowing my value, I picked the same man over and over and over again. It was just a different body. I am the CEO and founder of Rose of Sharon Transitional Living for Women, where we help women and children involved in domestic violence. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope that you too will be a voice for the voiceless and live life in the amazing, because the ordinary just won't do.
Hi, I'm Yamma Brown, and welcome back to Prisoner of Love. I have my guest with me today, Rhonda Thomson, and she's sharing her story of abuse. And let me tell you, you have a multi-layered story that is so important for people to hear. And what I really would like for you to speak to right now are the young children, the young boys and girls going through abuse, and might be looking at, you know, sex trafficking and going into a whole different area that they're unfamiliar with. What would you say to them right now?
Absolutely. Yeah. I would say that, first of all, you have 18 years to be a child. And once that time is up, you don't get a pass anymore. You don't get to go back and be a kid and try it over again. The decisions you make today is going to last for the rest of your life. When I was coming up and dealing with a lot of this stuff, I was searching. I was looking for something. I was looking for validation and love. And sometimes, you know, as young people, you see things, and even social media and some of the TV programs, don't be so quick to grow up and do what you think is right as it relates to what older people do.
Right.
This sex trafficking industry will eat you up and spit you out. You could lose your life in it. And I know for me, as a young person, I was like, oh, I can have money. Kind of like the young boys was looking at the drug dealers,
Right.
and the young girls is looking at the other girls who can be independent and do everything that they want. There is so much more to you than your body. And you know, I'll never forget something. Something was told to me when I was going through this. Well, at least you're getting paid for it.
Wow.
As if that validated the sins I committed against my body. You know, I would just say that, you know, even with dating, you know, there's healthy relationships. Learn what healthy relationships look like. I'm not saying you can't have a male friend or a female friend, but keep it in a place that it brings life to you. Young boys are even involved in the sex trafficking trade, meaning they're encouraging their girlfriends to participate in it because they benefit from it.
And you know, and then I don't mean to cut you off, but in Atlanta, it's number one around the world, right? It's if you're here in Atlanta or somewhere else, you know that this is like the number one place for that.
Absolutely.
And what you hear is that females even get other females into it, you know, and it's not even a guy coming on to them, it's a female getting them into it. And I just think about, you know, I didn't get into that deep, but I also remember being a teenager and searching for love and being too promiscuous and out there and doing things you shouldn't be doing. I mean, really, like you said, you want to enjoy your childhood and do fun things, hang out with your friends, go to the football games, all those things that once you get older, you really don't have time to do. And so as a child, you know, you're looking and you're searching for this love, but really you need to be looking within, you know, and really trying to find out who you are and learning yourself.
Absolutely. I think the hardest thing for young girls, at least only because I can speak on my own behalf, because a lot of this did happen when I was younger, and I can only imagine things are a lot worse now. But that repeating the cycle of what you see at home. If you are friends with a guy and in your belly you don't feel comfortable, chances are that relationship is going to turn abusive.
Right.
And so you gotta watch the signs. Some signs, you know, abuse doesn't come out physical right away. You know, him trying to control your movements, where you're going, how long you're with your friends. You didn't text me back. You haven't called me back. Oh, it looks cute at first, but that is a way to control. And for young boys, I would say, she's not your wife. And even if she was your wife, you don't want to control her.
Right.
If you seeing it at home, it's not normal and it's not healthy.
Right. Because if you feel like you need to control them, then that's not a relationship. That's
Absolutely.
not a give and take situation. Oh, such valuable information. I wish I had that when I was younger. All right, we're going to go out right now again. And when we come back, we're going to have Rhonda tell us a little bit more about what she's doing today to help victims get through this hurdle.
Absolutely.
Tune in. Welcome back to Prisoner of Love. I'm Yamma Brown, and I have with me today Rhonda Thomson. And this conversation has been so great. Thank you for sharing your story with me. I want you to talk about, just kind of tell me what you would say to your abuser. Now, I know you have talked about your mom and your dad a little bit, and you reconciled with them, talked to them about that. But I realize there probably have been multiple abusers along the way.
Yeah.
But if you could talk to them and say something, kind of specific, what would you say to them? Because I know what I would say to mine, but he's not here right now, so I'm just going to reserve that.
Oh, honey, try me now.
Exactly.
She found out who she was.
Yes.
There's no way that you would get away with that right now. I mean, I think that I would say that I forgive them.
Right.
Because I really believe in the power of forgiveness.
Yes.
That it's not so much for them, but it's for me. So that I can live a life free of condemnation and trauma. So I would definitely say I forgive them. But I would wonder why. Like, what was it that, what was it that made you feel that it was okay?
Right. What did you see in me where it was like I can do this with her?
Yeah, like, I know I had a mouth. I know, I had a really smart mouth, and I was smaller than I am now. I was like 4'11", so a little chihuahua. But really, like, what was it? Just so that I would know. I know that I didn't reflect the self-love that I do now. So I wonder, was that like an easy target for you to, hem me up by my throat and to, hit me so hard that my mouth bleed while my mom is in the next room?
Oh, wow.
Those kind of things. It's just, but the power of my little chihuahua personality was I left them alone. I did not stay in those relationships, and so in one sense, I can't even hold them accountable because it happened more than one. It happened about 3 times with 3 different guys, and then later on in life, I can't say that I dealt with a lot of more physical abuse, but the mental, same thing,
And it takes you into a place of depression.
Absolutely.
And then, like you mentioned before, about suicide attempts, and
3 times.
It just, that's the part that just takes you there, and now you have come out on the other side. You are a voice for the voiceless. You have written a book, Don't Spill the Tea. And tell us a little bit about Don't Spill the Tea, because I think people won't really understand the title unless you explain it to them.
Yeah. But I just thought of something. One of my abusers saved my life. My first suicide attempt, he came to the house unannounced, and my mom let him in, and I was passed out. And I'll never forget this. He was shaking me and slapping me and trying to get me to come to. And, they called 911, and I was taken to the hospital, and that saved my life. So I would tell him, thank you.
How ironic.
Yes,
right?
thank you. Tried to take it and then you saved it, but thank you.
Mhm.
But yes, so I, about 22 years old, I gave my life to the Lord, and I started this new journey of creating a new life for myself, all while still living behind the mask, and that lasted another 20 years. And so the book Don't Spill the Tea is synopsis of suffering in silence. It's kind of like, the thoughts that either an abuser or your own self say, shh, don't tell. And yet I'm saying, no, yes, spill the tea.
Yeah.
So it's one woman's journey from abuse to abundance. There's abundant life on the other side of abuse if you survive it.
Yeah.
Because many don't.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about Living Behind the Mask and Rose of Sharon, what you've created for women that are going to transition, the victims that finally that light bulb goes off, and it's a process. It's a journey, it's not something that, just happens like that. It's a process that you go through. But tell us a little bit about why you are doing it. We know kind of why, but why you feel compelled to do Rose of Sharon and Living Behind the Mask, Gayla.
Absolutely. So in 1998, I was working at a shelter, and I was helping victims get out of domestic violence. And this particular night, all the shelters in Milwaukee was full. And I decided that I was going to help this family. I escaped the family from their abuser. I paid for tickets for them to go on Greyhound and go to another city. And as I was driving home, I felt that I needed to do more. And I was like, oh yeah, later on in life, I'll do more. But Rose of Sharon birthed from that one situation. And Rose of Sharon it's in the Bible. Sharon is a desert, and the Bible says that he's the Rose of Sharon. And so I figure it's got to be a desert time in your life. I know it was a desert time in my life, and bruised but not broken, not shattered, not completely dismantled. You were survived. So Rose of Sharon is a nonprofit that helps women and children who are fleeing domestic violence. Here in Atlanta, we provide supportive services. It can be anything from food, shelter, clothing, anything, even on down to dental care. We've been able to get dental work done for a client.
A lot of people don't realize how important that is, because if a woman gets up enough courage, or man, to leave their abuser, a lot of times they leave them with nothing. And like you said, it's hard to find shelters. A lot of them are filled to capacity, and you don't have places to go. And really having that option to go somewhere else or eat, or even somebody to help them, with the basic necessities of life is so important.
Absolutely.
And so doing that and having your gala, Living Behind the Mask, which is widely successful, and you have, what year is this coming up now?
This is our third annual.
Your third annual, and we met at I think your first.
Yes. Well, second.
Your second one.
We met at Erica Lee's event.
Okay. Yeah. All right. All right. Yeah. And it was so encouraging for me to be there. Like I said, being a survivor of domestic violence, but it teaches us how to thrive.
That's right.
And to
a thriver.
Yes, a thriver, and to come from behind that mask and to live a fulfilled life. So thank you for doing that and having that gala and calling it that, because really that's what we do. We live behind this mask, and we have to be so perfect and everything, and life ain't perfect. There's gonna be a lot of times where you crying, you trying to figure out, am I doing the right thing? Should I go back and doubt yourself? But really you know that you have a community of people that can encourage you. For sure.
And it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to say, I'm not okay today.
Yes.
And a lot of times, even for people that are having suicide thoughts, it don't just happen. They have been meditating on these thoughts, and putting on this mask that everything is okay, and they're suffering in silence. You know, victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, it's all the same. And with me sharing my story, it has given me the strength to just be transparent completely, and it's freeing and liberating for me.
Yeah.
And so I'm proud of the journey. There was a time that I never would share these things, and I'm okay with it. And I know that whatever is for me is for me.
Yeah.
Hello, I am Rhonda Thomson, CEO and founder of Rose of Sharon Transitional Living for Women, Inc. here in Atlanta, Georgia. Rose of Sharon is a domestic violence organization that provides supportive services to women and children involved in domestic violence. These clients usually come to us when they are fleeing an abuser. Domestic violence is one's ability to subdue and control you. Domestic violence comes in many forms. 1 out of 4 women will experience domestic violence in her lifetime.
Domestic violence is prevalent in every community and affects all people regardless of age, socioeconomic status, sexual orientation, gender, race, religion, or nationality. Physical violence is often accompanied by emotionally abusive and controlling behavior as part of a much larger systematic pattern of dominance and control.
Rose of Sharon is very active in the community. We host and attend events that empower, motivate, educate, and bring awareness to domestic violence.
On behalf of my husband, Mayor Christine Reed, and the entire city of Atlanta, I am really here just to say thank you. And tonight is a true celebration of true survivors to rise above their circumstances and decide that they will not allow someone else's aggression or violence or negativity to any longer be a part of their lives. So again, thank you, Rhonda. Thank you to the Rose of Sharon. Thank you to everyone here tonight who's supporting, again, true survivors. These are the type of events that I enjoy coming to because they're applauding women and survivors who deserve true celebration.
Rose of Sharon was created out of the need to do more. I too am a survivor of child abuse, sexual assault, as well as intimate partner violence.
Domestic violence can result in physical injury, psychological trauma, and even death. The devastating consequences of domestic violence can cross generations and last a lifetime.
Rose of Sharon is here to be a safe haven to those that are in need. I became a voice for the voiceless. And in so, I want to empower women that they too can survive. How can you help? Your financial support is what's needed most. For more information, you can email us at info@rosatl.org, or you can visit us on the web, www.rosatl.org. Please help.
Well, we thank you so much for sharing your story. I know that there will be so many people blessed by hearing your story, and probably will look you up in Atlanta and Rose of Sharon and all you have going on. But it's important, and I'm glad we're speaking out and coming out from behind that mask and helping out each other with this. Thank you guys for tuning in to Prisoner of Love in this series with Rhonda Thomson, and make sure you tune in again next week.